Welcome, everybody. It's me, Medic Maven. Just kidding. It's Brandy P from the Yes, I Am the Veteran podcast. Thank you for joining me tonight. And how's everybody doing? How do we make it so far this week? We have an amazing guest on. So before I do bring him on, I did want to let you guys know it's pretty interesting how sometimes like people you meet in the past tend to circle around and become relevant again in a different way, even if you haven't necessarily met them. So you never know whom you're going to meet. You'll see that tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Daniel Flint now. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Trying to get everything ready. I'm excited the intro worked, Jules. But what was I going to say? So do you want to go ahead and maybe introduce yourself to us a bit? Maybe explain like who you are and
So I'm Daniel Tobias Flint. I'm the team historian for the Round Canopy Parachuting Team USA out of Palatka, Florida. We are a 501c3 foundation that is dedicated to preserving and honoring and protecting the heritage and history of the paratrooper from World War II all the way up through current Middle Eastern operations. We were founded in 2006, and what we basically do is we have two biannual events every year. Our October events coming up, or Operation Black Cat 6 here at the end of October, and then that honors the heritage and history of Vietnam for our Vietnam veterans. And then we have our spring event, Operation Sand Snake, which honors our World War II veterans, which gets our jumpers prepped and ready to go to Normandy every year, which we, because of COVID, we had a hard time getting jumpers over there the past couple of years. But this past summer, we got a group of our jumpers over there to jump into Normandy, and that was really amazing stuff to do.
How did you become a historian, may I ask? I'm sorry.
Well, actually, it was really wild. As I'm a U.S. history teacher by trade in high school, I've been doing it 17 years now in Duval County Public Schools in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was department chair for 9 years. And the week before school starts, you get a list of planning, whatever do. And every Wednesday, we have district training that we go to. So the training was fortunate enough. It was at my school, and I'm looking at the list, and I kind of get to choose and tell, where the teacher's going to go, kind of thing. And it's like, oh, World War II. It's like, okay, cool. I've been to so many of these things. It's like, okay, well, how could this possibly, really be impressive or amazing? Because I've been through so many of them before. Be like some guy in a suit.
And I mean, I was sworn in by the Thunderbirds. So like for me as an airman to say that, I mean, it's pretty amazing what you guys do.
But as a teacher, when you're sitting here, and you all it said on the sheet was World War II training. I was like, okay, and it's always the same thing with the same guy in the same way. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go because I love World War II history. My great uncle's a combat medic in the 749, so something that's close to you as being in the medical field. So my wife's ex was a PJ in the Air Force, so it's just. It's all.
Everyone's ex was a PJ in the Air Force. I'm not saying he wasn't. However, I did a lot of their physicals, but a lot of people would say they were PJs to,
No, he was legit. He was legit PJ. So. No.
I've been hearing about Kimberly for years now. It's funny. I can't wait to meet her.
I know, right?
Yeah. So actually, I'm kind of a story about that.
Mikey. Why does everything always revert back to Mikey?
He thinks so. But no, really, honestly, I actually live in San Antonio. So a friend of mine was a huge fan, and she's a civilian. And, she just was totally enamored, and she wanted to meet them. And I was like, they're cool. Like, they seem like cool guys, but I didn't know them. And so, but I don't get starstruck because I used to take care of a lot of people that were well-known in like USO tours and stuff like that. So for me, very early on, like I was kind of like, hey, what's up, guys? But that was about it. But it's pretty funny because of the fact that I accidentally crashed a staff meeting that they were having at a bar. They were talking about some stuff, and I sat down. I was giving them a hard time, and I teased the t-shirt designer about not having boob-loving shirts enough. So it ended up actually becoming infamous, and then they threatened to throw me out of a perfectly good airplane. And it's funny because you guys happen to be people that throw people out of perfectly good airplanes.
My wife made a similar joke to Mikey when she first met him.
Yes, well, he talked like all about her, man. Like he's a fan.
That's funny. But no, so I went to this training, and when I showed up for it, I was like a local anchor for First Coast News, Jeannie Blaylock. She had gone over to France for the 75th, and they filmed it. They did a whole. It was called Rendezvous with History, and it was
Mhm.
done really, really well. And I'd known Jeannie for a few years because she does a lot of stuff with the school board. And all of a sudden, she's getting ready because we were watching her documentary. All of a sudden, these guys in M42 jump uniforms come out, full boots, gear, all 9 yards, and I was just in awe. I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing in the world. And it was just amazing to listen to their story because they're all airborne guys, they and I
Oh,
was
those
just
are their stories. They're pretty
yeah,
amazing.
I was I was really starstruck by it because here are some legit airborne veterans from the 82nd and 101st. They're telling our story, they're telling their story, about the history of the paratrooper, which I knew pretty well. And but I was just, I went up. Kevin Kroll was part of the team that was there that day, and and I always give Kevin credit. And I went up, went up to him and talked. I was like, "Can I do that? It's like, can like civilians go and jump? Can we do that?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, come on down." And he's like, "Yeah, we welcome any and all."
Come on down. No.
And yeah, we'll throw you out of a perfectly good airplane. I was like, "That's awesome." So, I never thought I would do something that crazy in my life. After my wife, after I told her, I was like, yeah, I want to jump out of an airplane. It's like, are you insane? And I was like, I want to do this. So she endorsed my insanity, and I went
That's your wife.
down and I did the jump school. My district actually paid for my week. I got like we call it temporary duty elsewhere. So they gave me a TDE for the entire week of jump school because what I learned there I brought back to the classroom.
There's a
So I did
civilian
my
version of the TDY. Hold on.
what?
There's a civilian version of the TDY. I just now learning this. Okay. I
Yeah,
just their business trip.
okay. So
Okay.
if you're in the academic world, we call it TDE, temporary duty elsewhere. Well, it's really not duty. It's just like it's somewhere you are somewhere other than your school. So, and I got the week to go down there, and I did ground school for the first 2 days, and Wednesday we did our first jump, and it was just amazing. I had Ron Bell as my jump buddy going through it, and it was it was really awesome to watch to go through the training, the PLF training, and all that. It's just we have the finest jump masters in the world. We really, really do. And I'm not just saying that. We are the premier jump organization, static line jump, round canopy, round jump organization, in the country and the world. Uh, I would trust any one of our jump masters with my life. They hand me a chute, they put it on. I'm going to jump it.
And that's nothing
I
to
won't
say
even.
that either. I mean, because of the fact that when I have seen it go wrong with jumps. When I worked in New Mexico, I was stationed at Cannon, good old Cannon stand, as they say, the worst base, duty station in the Air Force, believe it or not. So bad that the Army would get mad at us. But they actually have a bombing range, the Melrose Range, and someone actually, the second jumper after the general, the DV, they were trying to show out, and they landed inside of a giant pit, and so we had to like go down like a 30-foot embankment to try to catch him
Oh
because he
wow.
broke his leg after he landed. Like he broke it very severely. And so we couldn't baja the ambulance down there. So like, of course the airmen had to dig him out and the Army knew we were going to get the hose. So they actually were like, hey, do you guys want to go to Apache or on the range? I'm like, it's not the same as a medal, but I'll take it. But it's funny, like you talk about crazy things you don't expect because of our guests. So Deanna Sheree, hey Deanna. So she's actually a former guest of ours. She came on. She has a filmmaking nonprofit. Because of her nonprofit, I ended up interviewing 2 live crew this last summer, which is
Oh,
something I
that's cool.
would have expected. And yeah, it was very last minute, and they don't do interviews. So yeah, you never really know what you're going to do in life. And I think that that's really cool that you were given that opportunity and that they were able to have you do the experience. What was it like? Because I know you're a civilian. We'll allow it. We usually don't allow civilians. I'm just kidding, but not really. But like, I mean, you seem cool. And the last guy that actually was on the list as a civilian got roasted pretty hard. So you're not getting roasted, and I'm excited.
Well, I will tell you this. I did a stretch in the Marine Corps in 2007. I did enlist and I went to Paris Island and I got about 90% of the way through training. I was on the weapons side of the island and we were just gotten done with like morning PT and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, whatever happened, I went into anaphylactic shock.
Hmm.
And I was a guy from up platoon. We were marching back to squad base. And all of a sudden, one of my squad leaders was like, Flint, what's wrong with you? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, you're like, and like, I felt my face like swelling up and everything else. And all of a sudden, it was the Navy corpsman. All I remember is an EpiPen going into my leg and like 36 out 48 hours later, I was on a it was convenient to government, I was spoke to when they put me in front of the series commander, the captain told me, it's like, it's nothing to be ashamed about, it's just what it is. You're going home bee sting, and there's nothing, and it just you just got filtered out during training. And but Harris Island taught I was gung ho, I was ready to go. It changes you. And there was a part of me that missed that. And I feel like I kind of got robbed a little bit, and I know I wanted to kind of reconnect with that. And I love talking to veterans. I absolutely do. And I love hearing their stories. And then when I started talking to Kevin, he invited me down. While we're doing jump school, I'm talking to the veterans, I'm talking to the jump masters, and I'm trying to hear their stories while we're learning how to jump out of an airplane. And that Wednesday, that first jump, I watched, the entire jump course. I was also in it with Daniel Sharp and Donnie O'Malley were in my jump class along with Rich
Wow.
High, and
Oh,
I yeah, we had like, the all-star deck. John Simmons from Works for Fighter Tobacco was with us as well,
wow.
and
You're
yeah,
the
we had
best.
all, and
Oh
I'm sitting
man,
here hang,
the 50
I
cal, yeah.
was, yeah, Donnie O'Malley was a great dude, and so was Daniel Eric. We had some, Daniel, he was there too, and Daniel Sharp. We had some great conversations, and it was just really awesome. And the one thing, if anyone's thinking about jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, the one thing that our jump masters told to us, the equipment works. It's been the same design roughly since 1944, and it hasn't changed a whole lot, and it works. And I watched 25 other guys descend out under canopy, and they were fine. And it was the most exhilarating experience of my life. We get up, we jump at 1,500 feet, and Ray Lalla was my jump master when I went out, and all of a sudden, the hatch opens up. You're getting out because we were jumping on 182, a Cessna, with Skydive Palaka, our sky boss Art Schaefer, the finest jump master I've ever met. Art is just a fan. We could not do what we do without Skydive Palaka, and we just could not do it. And Art is a fantastic guy, and Ray hit me on the back, said go, and then you're just out 4 seconds, your chute deploys, and you're just kind of gliding to the ground, and it is just really, it's just amazing. And it was like dusk. There was a video of it, so they were able to film it, capture it, and it was just from when I came down and PLF to the ground. It was just absolutely amazing, and it's stuff I show my students all the time, and I apply it to everything I do in life. I jumped out of an airplane, and if you have the bravery to do something like that, because jumping out of an airplane goes against regardless if you're wearing a parachute or not, it
Yeah,
goes
all your
against
personal
all
defense.
your like for the first time, it goes against all your survival instincts. Like,
Yeah,
do I really
100%.
want to do this? Well, I'm not going to sit there and not do it, so. But it was the finest experience of my life, and other than my children being born and marrying my current wife Kimberly, it was just
Aw,
absolutely, it was amazing. And coming down and seeing all that, and they were right there on the ground with me. Jump masters were right there, and they're cheering me on. It was just great. And then we finished that event, and a couple months had gone by, and our president Bill Markham asked me, there a position had come open on the board. It was team historian. He's like, yeah, would you be willing to do that? I was like, I'd never stood on a board for anything before, and I was like, yeah, I'd be honored. I was honored. I was
yeah,
floored. I was, it was like
the
Christmas time in
museum of
February.
jumpers. Yeah,
Yeah, it was awesome. And what I wanted to do after Bill appointed me team historian was I've been teaching U.S. history for 17 years, and
wow,
teaching war history is something I really focus on because it's something that is, I wouldn't say lacking, but it's not as hyper focused as a lot of it should be, because there's a lot of content that goes with that, especially you know a lot of history teachers, you kind of cruise through World War One to, it's like you drive through World War One to get to World War Two, when you're teaching the content. It's kind of how you feel a little bit. And that's not just in Florida, that's, kind of all over. But I wanted to create a program that highlighted the life of the paratrooper as I was experiencing it and bring it to life. And I've met some amazing people along the way. We now have a STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, because we teach the technology of the SF-10. We jump the SF-10, the MC-1, and
really?
we jump those chutes, and we teach the technology of that during the STEM program. So I've created a virtual presentation. So we come into the school, we're wearing our M42s, and the students will log in with a device, and we walk them through like the different, we'll walk them through Omaha, Utah Beach, the Eisenhower map room. And the program that we use, you actually get to take a virtual tour of these places. And the content we use to drive it is from one of our sponsors, Discovery Education, who I am a Den Star educator, and I'm also on the Education's Leadership Council this year as well. We
And you're in
use that
Florida, right?
content.
You're in Florida, right? I'm
Yep.
sorry. So, and
Yeah, we're
you were
Jackson,
recently
Florida.
awarded the History Teacher of the Year. I won Hot Mom of the Year. Not nearly as cool. Like, but like, I mean, like that's pretty
Equally
cool.
cool.
I
Yeah, so
mean, it's funny to say. However, not. I mean, not nearly as accredited as what you're doing. And I think that honestly, I I think that you putting it and bringing it to life and showing students that it's something that is not just in a book, which a lot of professors they tend to death by PowerPoint it out. I think that you
oh
showing
yeah.
them, physically showing them, they understand it because what is like Winston Churchill say, like history is written by the victor, right? And we tend to rewrite our own history quite quickly. And at the end of the day, like a lot of times we don't realize how much history has been omitted from books. And I think you showing them this is a good way for them to really see and understand exactly what the books didn't teach them, the in between the lines sort of thing. When is your national competition?
So actually, I found out last week, and I'm still the Nationals they already had it. It was a teacher from Hawaii was selected, but that's fine. I mean, when I read her profile and her resume, she was just outstanding. I mean, she just goes above and beyond for her students, and I was selected with 53 other educators, and it's just. I won the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. It's a national nonprofit. They select 53 U.S. history teachers a year. What you have to do is you prep an application packet. Usually includes the lesson that I submitted was our STEM program. I submitted our STEM program for that portfolio, and it's all veteran run. Minus myself. And that's the other part about bringing
Your
veterans into
honorary
the
brother, you're
classroom.
fine.
What's that?
Your honorary brother, you're fine.
Oh, there you go. So, but bringing veterans into the school is really important to me because, students get curious. I mean, we have an ROTC in our school. We have two retired master sergeants and a retired Air Force colonel. And, the kids that, he was a fighter pilot in Nam. And I love listening to his fighter pilot stories, and they're great. But it's just outside of that, our regular student population does not, even though we're Jacksonville, we're a Navy town, or we're a huge Navy town. And we have an air wing unit the Marines have an air wing unit over not too far from where I live, and the P8s fly out of here all the time. And I wanted to bring veterans into the school and show them and expose them to the kids, let the kids talk to them and hear their stories and hear what they went through in Afghanistan, what was it like to go through. And our veterans, our jumpers, they love talking to the kids. They love teaching that next generation because they're the ones that are going to carry that torch forward and sit there because enlistment numbers are down and they're really, really down. And I promote the military all the time in my classroom because I teach in the inner city. And for a lot of these kids they have a lot, they struggle with what they're going to do, and college might not be the place for them to go, but the military is a great avenue for them to pursue. They can do a lot in the military, they can get a lot of training, great benefits, and they can do something that's worthwhile and serve their country at the same time and get some really good skills. And by showing them that and showing that veterans are amazing people and get to hear their stories is absolutely fabulous. My one little caveat for that is I have a national treasure. It's my little secret weapon during my presentations that I get to have come on and talk to my students. Her name is May Cryer, and she was an actual legit Rosie the Riveter. And May, I classify May like everybody's grandmother because I mean that's how she is, and that's how she. And when she was 17 years old, was when Pearl Harbor got bombed, and she was in high school in North Dakota, and she told my students that they all kept asking her, "What'd you do? We were attacked. What'd you do?" They were all concerned about May's anxiety, and her response was so great. We just did what we had to do. It was so awesome. It was so amazing, and it was just wild. It's funny. Deanna asked about doing a tour. What we have actually is so the first part of our presentation is actually it's an in-class sit down. We go through women's history, the Jedburghs we cover. We actually have our our president's wife, Val Markham, she was a West Point grad and full bird colonel. She actually does a great presentation of the Jedburghs and how they jumped into combat, how they would jump in, like jumpsuits, and then they would take the jumpsuit off and they'd be undressed so they could just blend into the French crowds and cause sabotage and all kinds of stuff. Virginia Hill is one of those. The Netflix did a movie on here. It was really, really amazing, and how well they were trained. And a lot of people don't know that women jumped in behind the lines prior to D-Day and were just wreaking havoc, behind the lines, allowing when the paratroopers landed, it could have been a lot worse than it was had the Jedburghs not been there, laying the groundwork for the invasion to go forward. And we cover women's history. We cover women at home because my great aunt was a wave. So we cover that when the men went off to fight, women stepped up. You look at the Golden Girls. B. Arthur was a Marine Corps wave, and she was just like, and people don't realize this, that there's so much heritage that's there. These women stepped up. They were trained military style, everything else, and they served on the bases. So, and the great failure of from the Nazis to the Italians to the Russians was that they didn't utilize their ladies. I tell my students all the time, women logistically win wars for the United States. They always have. And from the Civil War, the Spanish American War, World War I, and World War II, women logistically won the war for us because women like May were in the factories building planes because she went and worked for Boeing.
B-17.
And yeah, it was just, it was amazing to sit here and have her tell that story to my students. And that's the first part of that presentation. We walk them through, and then once the online part of that is over, we go through and do a mock door exit. We go through the jump commands. We kind of simulate what it would be like to be in a
all-around experience.
Okay. Yep, it's led by. We usually have a couple of jump masters. Oh,
what's his name?
His name is Sapphire.
It's kind of perfect for Halloween, right? Hey,
I know. Yeah, he's an awesome cat. So we walked through the mock door presentation after going. Stop that cat.
After going out of a seat. Laughed so hard because she loves her cat, and he passed, and he was a black cat.
Our school board did a video presentation, did a full news broadcast of it, and we walked the students through, and then we put the parachutes on the students. We have them walk up, and they're curious about what it feels like, so we bring samples of what the parachute material feels like, and they sit there and we go through that, and it's like, wow, this stuff is heavy. It's like, I didn't know it was like, and the kid was asking, we put the main on him. He's like, okay, so where's the backup chute? And I was like, it's like your reserve. It's like, so yeah, we got it. It's like he almost fell forward because we had to clip it in the front of him, and like I said, our jump masters are the best guys in the world. And, I could not do this program without our jumpers and our jump masters coming in, and, they are so eager to talk to the kids. The second half of our presentation, it usually runs about 3 hours. So the second half, my great uncle during the war, he sent home like everything. I'm surprised there's not a French kitchen sink somewhere sitting in someone's garage back home in New York. He sent home everything. I mean, he sent home everything. So I have like Nazi bathing suits. I have all this liberated German equipment, from tarps to gear to helmets to banners to flags to zeroing guides that they would use for that mortar teams would use. And not to mention all the U.S. gear my great uncle saved, and he sent it all home. And from his field jacket to everything, because the kids put on the winter jacket. I have a background in museum studies, so what I do is, what's the worst part about going to a museum? You can't touch the stuff that's there. You can't. It's behind glass.
Or take photos.
Not with our presentation. I put gloves on the students and I show them how to handle historical artifacts. And the smell, they touch it, they feel it because it's all wool. I remember one kid, it was my great uncle's medic bag. He flips it up and right on the flap, it says the Langdon Tent and Awning Company. He's like, Mr. Flint, what is this? And I was like, well, multiple corporations stepped up and produced multiple items for the war effort. And so this company made canvas tents. So they were already prepped, set, and ready. And all they had to do was start making canvas bags. And that's what they did. And it was command economy. It just, people didn't understand that. I have C rations and D rations. My great uncle was worried about the food when he was going to come home, so he pocketed a lot of that so he could have chow on the ship.
I don't want to know what a time capsule MRE is like, but I want to see a Marine eat it. You're
Last
watching.
it was funny last summer when we have an all-American water event. It's a jump event in July. And so I brought that museum out there and Mikey was there and it was funny, Mikey picked up my great uncle's jumps his medic suit. He had the reversed medic uniform or it was I guess field jumpsuit. And Mikey's like, wow, those guys are really small. We'd be like giants to them today. And I just started
Yeah,
laughing. It's like, yeah, it's true though
it
when you
is.
look at the average age and the average size of there was like average weight of like 145 or 150 pounds. I mean, look at the photos of those guys when they went through, and
Yeah,
they
they
were
weren't
they
big
were
guys.
they're not like huge dudes, and
I mean,
you see
sometimes
the guys. Yeah, I mean, it's funny to have current veterans pick that stuff up and just listen to their conversation going back. I love it. I just sit there, and I when Bill Mark and we are our military liaison, Command Sergeant Major Rick Lamb, you know, amazing guy. Uh, he was walking through and he was just dissecting all the materials. He was so that they're comparing it back and forth to their reproduction stuff that we get, and it's
Mhm.
just amazing to sit there and listen to their conversations and how it's different and the reasons why it's different. I just sit there and listen to it, and it's great to hear that because that's the things that I can take into the classroom and talk to the kids about. And our jumpers do that with them when they're going through that content, and it's absolutely so rewarding to do that because when my students get to talk to people like May, just recently, we lost a legend. Jim Pee Wee Martin recently passed this past September, and Pee Wee he was at our events. His granddaughter Jody's a really good friend, and we talk constantly about a lot of different things, and it's just Pee Wee's a legend. The 506, and hearing his story, getting to talk to him because when I went through Black Hat originally, Pee Wee was there, and I got to talk to him for a little bit, and it's amazing to hear their stories. And the sad reality is this greatest generation is leaving us now, and part of the reason why I'm doing this, and I bring in women like May, she's a national treasure, is
She
so
is.
people can hear her story. I told her that when Sergeant Major Lamb introduced me to her, when I got her story, I would make sure I would sing it everywhere I went and broadcast to everyone because she was just last year awarded the Air Force Lifetime Achievement Award, and it's just absolutely amazing. And I know she's got something. I know you got something planned with her later on. She said something. She wouldn't give me any details. I know something secret's going on, but I'll let you
Aw,
ladies handle whatever
poor
that is.
baby.
So it's all good. But I love when May can go out and reach out and talk to more people. It's
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal, and I love it. It's living history, and that's what
Well,
it's really all about.
history, literally, and
And
that's what we've rewritten, and that's what talking to her. And I
yep,
was very fortunate to be connected through you. But at the end of the day, like hearing her and what we assume the Rosie, like brand now that's been built in so many different places is, are not necessarily the same thing. And
she
hearing her
told
talk, I'm just like, it's wow.
she told me a cool story that she says she knew the model that they used for the poster. That she knew the lady that they used for the model for the actual Rose of the River poster. She knew that lady, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And to hear stuff like that, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the grandchildren and the children of some of these paratroopers, like George Luz Jr., he was George Luz was in he was in Easy Company in the 506. If you watch Band of Brothers, you see his character going through. And I talk to his son all the time, and what
Wow.
a great dude. And just the people that I have met being team historian and being on this team, the biggest part about what we do is the camaraderie, and one of the core things that we try and do is we try to reduce 22 down to zero. For those of people that don't understand, there are 22 veteran suicides a day, and that's 22 too many. And a lot of it is just they come, and I've heard it described like being in church, and they at our events, and it's a great feeling to watch these guys talk and reliving the glory days of what they had, and they get to still jump out of airplanes and have that camaraderie and have fun, and it's so amazing to watch. And I tell this story a lot too. For our last October, my son's middle school SRO was a retired Marine Corps drill instructor, and we've been talking for months, and I never knew this. And he's like, yeah, by the way, it's because I was talking. He asked me what I did, and I was like telling him what I was doing at the end of the month. It's like, oh, did you know I served in Vietnam? It's like, oh, really? What'd you do? It's like, well, I was a drill instructor at Paris Island in during Vietnam. I was like, say that again.
He was
So
the actual like drill instructor from Full Metal Jacket. That's what you're trying to
oh,
say. Not
he
really,
says
really.
no. He says no, but I could totally see it in his face. And I invited him down, and he came, and his face just lit up because he got to meet legendary veterans like Billy Howell and and a couple other guys from ODA 595. Horse Soldier Bourbon's one of our sponsors, along with Grunt Style as well. It's great having sponsors. Tim Jensen, Daniel Eric, and Tiffany Order. Those guys, those ladies and guys are just absolutely fabulous because they've been so supportive, and we couldn't do what we do without amazing sponsors like them. And it's just we're building more and more all the time, and we got more sponsors that are coming on. Like for example, we got Firehouse Subs, Discovery Education's on with us as well, and it just keeps building on because people want to support this community. And if you really want to do it through us. Just go to RCPT, www.rcptusa.org, and just check us out and see what we're doing. And if you really, we are as a 501c3, 100% of our profits goes back to our membership and back to our events and back to our jumpers. Our entire board of directors, we are all volunteers. None of us get paid for all the work, time, and effort we put into this. So, and it is the most rewarding, job I've ever done. I've met some amazing people along the way, and it keeps getting better and better. Meeting you through this whole process as well. And I didn't know Mikey told you anything about my wife. That's kind of entertaining.
I knew
So
more
what
about
was
your wife than you.
that's I don't know what Mikey said.
She was. She's so cool. And then like Jazz got like super, super, super offended that I was like told I could jump, but I was like, I don't even know if I can leave.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
jump because I'm disabled.
That's so
We'll
funny.
find out. But
It,
yeah, I'm free now. But what's the most surprising thing that you found as a civilian? Like I guess just being around other veterans, like doing this, like what's something that surprised you?
that people still want to jump. I've talked to a lot of guys. One of the guys I graduated high school with, he was in the airborne, and I told him I never want to jump again. I did it as like Benning has my knees, and I'm good now. I don't. It's like, but and these people, they come in, and so you don't have to jump if you come to our event. When we're having our events on the weekends, you just want to watch us jump. Yeah, do that too. We welcome any and all veterans to come down and just enjoy the brother and sisterhood and the camaraderie that's there. And I would say the thing that surprises me the most is the mental health healing that takes place. When veterans speak to other veterans, and you know it's just like, what was it? I was recently talking to a 3-star, and I record a lot of things in my journal when I talk to them. And what was it that he said?
Super cool guy.
General Sean Murphy.
Oh, he also cool guy.
So, and he said, because he was a medical doctor in the Air Force, and he says, like, there are 3 questions that he asks veterans all the time. Do you have a good friend? Do you belong to a group? All right. Do you have a passion? 3 basic things that, you can ask a veteran. And if they struggle with, 1, okay, it's all right. But if they're struggling with 2, it's time to kind of sit there. Hey, there's this group in Palaca that's doing this, and they welcome any and all. And like I said, we have the finest jump masters in the world, and we welcome any and all to come down, and we support, and we love doing what we do. It's absolutely amazing.
Okay, awesome. And honestly, I think that's great that you guys are able to do that. I know like every so often, like when I go to events with Grunt Style, I know you're talking about that sense of camaraderie. We as veterans very oftentimes lose our sense of purpose after the military, and just to have that just is something that you get to be around others that maybe understand you, because we're a percent of a percent of a percent. So for us to be around a bunch of people that understand, and we don't have to have our nice civilian mask on, we don't have to behave, and like we can use our military voices and not scare people, So at the end of the day, it's nice that you can be, yourself and be around other people. And I think that's why it's so important for veterans to be part of certain organizations, because of the fact that the mental health aspect, meeting other veterans and know you're not by yourself, right? Like Shannon Book says, and at the end of the day, it's just having that as an avenue, or, you know, even just like meeting new brothers and sisters you didn't know. Like I meet new brothers and sisters all the time, and I love it. Like Deanna, like I met her through my show. She's a 5th degree black belt. She was almost on Mortal Kombat. Like she could like
Oh, that's
literally
so cool.
she's amazing. I mean, she's a movie director, or a veteran filmmaker, and you know, I would not have met her had I not done my show. But she has an amazing nonprofit as well. But there's so many out there, and I think that it's important for veterans to know that people like you exist, and that there is a home for them, and there is a place for people. Especially, you know, we get a little salty, you know, like, no, I don't like being around other people, you know, but it's good to actually have that. And I mean, I'm looking forward to coming out in October at the end of the month for Black Cat for a day on Miss Veteran America, actually on the 30th. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I know Maggie definitely is as well. And she's a suicide bomber survivor, you know, and for me, like one of the catalysts that had me start to drive what we did, like our whole Get Her to the Ink thing, getting her to the Ink Master, was the fact that, you know, she looked at me, and we've had similar surgeries, and she's, you know, like she asked me when we were hunting, is all I was supposed to do was survive. You know, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? And I was like, no, like you live your best life of what you have left because you've earned that. And so for me, like I'm looking forward to her seeing you guys. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are doing. You know, maybe a little hell raising, but at the end of the day, like I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are
That
doing.
happens a lot. So,
Well, I mean, yeah,
so
that's a lot of air crew in one space. Like, of course.
I gotta ask. So I asked this of all the veterans I speak with. So you want to jump? Hmm?
I mean, yeah, like I already like talked to prosthetics. So I was like, do I need a brace for this? They're like, no, you're fine. I was like,
Well, I will put you in contact with our safety and training officer, Rick Randall. I'll put you in contact with him, and he will get you all the information you need to do that. But the best part about our events. It's, you know, that's the event is the reality, and then when it's over, they it's just
yeah,
like, man, I got to go back into the world now, and
yeah.
it's just
Have you guys?
it's yeah, it's so interesting. And rank doesn't matter. No one's sitting there, you know, touting off rank or whatever at our events. You don't see people, I was so and so, whatever. No, you know, and it's just, you know, it's just enjoying the brother and the sisterhood. And a big part of what and we've talked a little bit about this, is getting more women to come out, you know, and really pushing that, and to get more women to jump. And I was
I'm
talking with
trying to
May
get
about that
some
as
weight
well.
loss out there. Oh, she's a female
So
paratrooper, and she's actually one of the few. And so I'm trying to get her to come out and jump. And she's actually one of the judges for Miss Veteran America. So she's going to be in Orlando. So I may have to abduct her. But I want her to come out because I want her to jump with me.
yeah, I mean, Grunt Style brought out 3 or 4 female veterans a couple years ago. Yuritsa Perez was one of them, and you know, she's part of my STEM team, and we go into the schools, and she's a great, female, you know, modern role model for girls in my school to sit there and, you know, listen and talk to. And you know, Grunt Style did a great thing for us last March with Operation Community. They highlighted our team, and she's featured in that along with myself and a couple of other Val, Bill's wife, and another jumper, David Lunsford. They kind of featured us with that to kind of talk about the team and what we're doing. And it's just, you know, it's we don't leave anyone behind. It's, you know, we're selfless, not selfish, is what she said during that, and that's very true. You know, it's very, very true. We care about each other, and you know, it's what can we do to help you? How can we help you? And that's what it's really all about. If I can, you know, after teaching about something like this, and I go to a school and do this presentation, if one student walks out and tells a veteran, you know, yeah, hey, there's this group in Palaca, Florida that's doing this, you know. And the really cool part is we get to go to Normandy every year and jump the famous drop zones. I mean, that's
I've
like
seen
church.
those
That's like, you
videos.
know,
Yeah, if you guys
yeah.
haven't gone on their Instagram or you guys haven't checked them out, check out those videos because their videographer does some amazing work. And considering you guys are literally free falling, or like not free falling, but you're literally jumping with a chute. And so at the end of the day, like it's pretty amazing that that's something
Oh
that
yeah, our camera equipment's pretty awesome. Dave Cyrak is our public affairs officer, and he is just a genius. If you watch in promo videos or whatever, you know, Dave is the guy that's behind that, and he is just phenomenal. And we're planning to go back to Normandy for the 78th and back for the 80th as well. And it's amazing. And you know, my wife and I, we're going to be going this summer and the following summer after that, just to just be a part of that. And you know, it's amazing to be able to have that experience and go there and do it.
check out the Airborne
And
Museum too while you're out there. My uncle, he's 101st. He was a jump master,
okay, well,
and
you
so
should
he's
come
out.
down to hang out with us then.
I want to, but he lives in Germany, so it's like kind of a struggle. Like, you know, because he comes back to the U.S. like
Well,
once a year. So I'm trying to
well,
get him to
maybe,
coordinate.
or he can come and join us in Normandy for the 78 or for the 79th this year. He can come out there and join us and, hang with us and be with us out there. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling to be part of this team. It's like an extended family that you have, if something happens, you've got someone that you can call. We do a lot of buddy checks with a lot of people, and
No,
it's nice to have that kind of, if it's like it's like a warm blanket. You have someone you can always talk to, always call. It's like, hey, I'm feeling like crap. Send a message. And it's great to be able to have that, to be able to vent to someone like that that's not judging you or not whatever. And I think a lot of veterans really, well, a lot of our team members, they really appreciate that. And we do a lot of hard work to try to make sure that we really take care of the veterans that jump with us,
yeah.
and do a lot of veteran outreach. We have a lot of things in the works for 2023, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more and expanding. And thanks to sponsors like Grunt Style and Horse Soldier Bourbon and Discovery Ed and Firehouse Subs and a myriad of others, we are able to keep doing this work, and it's really, really amazing. So, and we have a cool thing working with Armed Forces Brewing that's coming up pretty soon. And it's Alan Beal is a great guy. I love talking to him. He's an absolute fabulous dude. I absolutely love talking to him, and just really, really good guy. So, but more than that, I can't go into because it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be some good stuff.
More to come
But
in the future.
oh, absolutely. There's always more to come. So I really enjoy this program that I created, and it's designed to go to any high school in the country. It's designed for grades 9 through 12, and it's designed so if we do an air show, we go to ICAS every year, the International Council of Air Shows, and we meet a lot of air show operators that want to sit there and, hey, you want to do a demo jump because we're doing the Stewart Air Show. For Veterans Day, we go down to Stewart in Jupiter, Florida, and we do a whole thing down there. And
Okay, nice.
potentially, so wherever we go, if a local high school wants us to come in and do our program, we can literally go in there and do that. My museum is mobile, so it travels everywhere I go, and so we have the ability to walk into school and do that day one. So we would do that. So if it was like on a if the air show is like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we would go in on a Thursday and do our presentation there, and then it would just be more encouraging kids to, hey, come out, check out the air show, and check us out, and check out what we're doing. So
nice. And so like his like teachers can actually like sign up through the STEM program to do that. So it's an interactive experience. Nice. So today, really quick, we're going to talk about the fact of the day. So I wanted to talk about the Veterans Consortium. So not everyone knows about what that is. I didn't know what it was. So basically, um, uh, not a lot of veterans know, but after you go to like the Court of Higher Appeals for a claim, there is rare recourse that you can actually go to like the Supreme Court of Appeals for veterans and actually be represented, but it's costly, right? So when I had to do it myself, because for example, like I was fighting for my back pay and everything else, when they had forgotten to address that part, I couldn't appeal the decision because once it's like final, that's it. You can't do it anymore. So for me, I actually had to go to the Supreme Court of Appeals. When I did that, I had to be represented by an attorney, and I'm a single mom, and I don't have an OnlyFans. So unfortunately, you have to be careful with how much you spend on attorneys. And so I was recommended to the Veterans Consortium, and it's like vetsprobono.org. And what it is the program that actually matches veterans in need and families and to an attorney that will actually help that veteran. So I think it took me about a month. And then like I have now an attorney that's very phenomenal on the East Coast, and she's helping me represent my case with the Supreme Court of Appeals. But it is something that is available for veterans looking to appeal their discharges. So like, maybe they got like a BCD, which means like a bad conduct discharge, meaning that they can't get any of their VA benefits because the lowest is other than honorable. Like it's just like the other basically. That's like the lowest you can go. So a lot of veterans that are in need of care, they're not able to get it because maybe they punched their commander or something happened that, it was a minor incident compared to the years of service they had. And so a lot of veterans, they don't really appeal their discharges. So this is a way that they could do that. And there's no charge to the veteran if the attorney actually does pick up the veteran. So I did want to talk about that just because of the fact that it is something that it is beneficial. And like I said, it's no charge to the veteran. A lot of organizations, they'll help us, but then when they charge the crap out of us too. So at the end of the day, I think that's great that it's something that's an available avenue for veterans. But I did just want to quick talk about that tonight. But yeah, it's vetsprobono.org is the name of that organization. But it's a pretty cool way to maybe look into having representation when you need it as far as certain matters. But before we do end tonight, so close us out with some final thoughts, Daniel.
Just if you're a veteran and you're looking for something to kind of, if you're looking to get back in with an organization, if you look back at those 3 questions, do you have a passion left? Do you have a group that you belong to? If you want to be part of a group and you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane and it's something that you missed while you were in the military and you always thought about doing it, come do it with us and you won't regret it. It is probably the most rewarding experience of my life, and the team is phenomenal. And I love being a part of it. I live it, I sleep it, eat, breathe it. Even I inked it on my arm after I got done as well. I'm so passionate about that. When I got my wings, and it was great. Mikey was there, and he was able to he helped me get my wings as well, and it was really awesome. My wife was involved with that one.
So Korean voice. Good job, bro.
But it's a great organization, and if you don't want to jump and you just want to come down and be with us, that's fine too. But as I always tell people when I ask for support, I'll never ask for money. Support can be given in a wide variety of ways. But if you do want to support us financially, you can just go to rcptusa.org and click the link that says donate. And we're a 501c3 foundation, so it's our EIN number is there, so it's tax deductible. So if you're looking to support a good veteran organization, please, we operate on a shoestring budget as a nonprofit. So, every dime we have goes back into our organization. So, and unfortunately, airplanes aren't free, but
it's really not. It's very expensive.
No, they're not. But we just please come out and check us out. And it will be worth the time to sit there and look at us to see what we're doing in the veteran community. It really would be. And with what we're doing in the schools as well, we gained our programs gained international recognition. I've been on several podcasts, and similar to this one, Larry Jacobs from it's another podcast I've done with him with Ed Talk Radio. I've had a couple of articles published as well on eSchool News through Discovery Education as well on our program. So getting the word out there, it's happening, and more people are coming to us. So any veteran that you speak to, especially any of the ladies that I'm sure you probably know quite a few, they want to sit there and jump, send them our way. It's absolutely amazing to see more and more veterans that are coming out, especially our Vietnam brothers and sisters that are coming out. And I guess the final thought I have for that is that they were so mistreated when they came home, and it sickens me, when I see people that it's like, they dismiss Vietnam veterans, and as it was not forgotten. It was a war, and you talk to the veterans that were there, and you talk to these guys all the time. And I was going down to Grad Bash with our seniors, and our bus driver was a Vietnam veteran, and I was talking to him. He was a ground pounder, and he was infantry, and we were talking, and he's like, yeah, I just started wearing my Vietnam veteran hat, about a month ago. And I was never felt comfortable wearing it out in public. And I was like, no, sir, you need to wear that thing all the time. And we need to get past that. We need to let those guys know. Every time I see that hat, I see any veteran hat, I thank them for their service. I strike up a conversation, let them know about who we are. And it's amazing that they just enjoy talking to you. It's fabulous. I guess you see a veteran, say thank you for your service, and maybe you get a cool story.
It's always awkward to answer without sounding like a dick. You're like, you're welcome. There's no nice way to say that, not feel like a jerk. But no, I think it's really great that you respect it. You're keeping war history as well as history alive, and you're on top of that, you're still helping our brothers and sisters in arms, as far as getting, that sense of camaraderie or that sense of purpose again that we tend to lose, especially after our service, because our service has ended, not our sense of purpose. We just have to kind of change that, reformat it, or realign it to something that we feel is more appropriate to what we're doing now, because we can tend to change. I mean, I was a medic that did all kinds of crazy stuff, but I don't do that now. I use more my voice, but I mean, you lose that sense of purpose, and it's very depressing. And the 22-day, let's just be honest, it's far more than 22 a day. And it's not even close. And at the end of the day, our brothers and sisters are dying in record numbers. and we need to do our best and our due diligence as far as helping our brothers and sisters, because right now this is that time that we need to be banding together. As with the PACT Act passing, our voices together is mighty.
Absolutely.
So, but thank you so much again for coming on tonight. We very much
Oh, I had
appreciate
a
it.
great time. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for just letting me tell the story of the team and share our STEM program out there with the public. So it just, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, brother, and I will be out there in a few weeks. Shit. So,
Yeah.
but I'm absolutely looking forward to it and seeing what you guys are all about.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.